Hey, what's up YouTube? Today's true ghost story is from the website Darkness Prevails. I'll post a link to the story below. The story is called Madness in the Woods. The story was submitted by TR06 Crow. If you enjoy listening to horror stories, please consider subscribing to my channel, as I'll be uploading a new horror story every single day. If there is a horror story that you'd like me to read, please post it down in the comments below. Also, if there's any improvements that you think I can make, please post it down in the comments below. So here's on to today's story. Hey you all, I've decided to post a bit more often as I may have many stories to tell of the horror and spooky nature. I live in Central Texas and there is a dark side to this seemingly safe and normal city of mine. It may not be historical, but there are ancient things that roam these woods. There are these hotspots, if you will. One such place, as being possibly the most active, is a little railroad crossing about 10 minutes away from my house. There is a river that runs underneath the old aged bridge and a trail on each side of the riverbank to go down to the river. The vegetation is thick and varies in species. There is a small marshy area to the left of the bridge on the eastern bank, and on the western side there is a lot of graffiti on the walls and odd patches of dead or sparse grass. The first occurrence was on my friend's, let's call him Rick, birthday in 2011. Our good friends Jonathan and Keith were over, and after we ate a Chi-Chi's pizza for dinner, we all wanted to go out and work some of it off. We decided to go and explore the tracks and maybe go down to the river. About half the way down the tracks to the bridge, we spotted a medium-sized black dog sitting at the eastern trailhead staring at us. We figured there would be someone down there fishing or swimming who had brought their dogs along. As we approached, it walked down to the riverbank. We approached the riverbank down the steep trail and realized there wasn't anyone there. We wondered which way the dog went, thinking maybe something had happened. We saw tracks heading south through the marshy area and into some rather thick and tall vegetation. Jonathan and I followed them rather swiftly, while Rick and Keith took their time behind us. Eventually, the trail led to an opening. Now, the grass in the opening was much shorter than the rest, and the trees surrounding it were 3 feet tall buffalo grass. The dog had gone through the southernmost side. As we entered the clearing, 4 more came out of the tree lines. We froze, the hairs on our bodies standing on end, feeling trapped and endangered. Slowly, almost tauntingly, the first dog came out of the bush and sat about 3 feet away from us, just staring. Its eyes were black, not the usual dark brown or even blue eyes that dogs usually have. We slowly backed up, telling the other 2 to not come any closer. The dogs were sitting like carefully set statues, just glaring at us. We made it back to the top of the trail and started to run back to the house, when suddenly we see the dogs jumping across the tracks. The same dogs that were just on the ground 30 feet below and about a 16th of a mile away. They were leaping over the track in a way that it made it look like seeing one dog with traces of it behind it as it moved. "Stop!" I shouted. "Look, how did they get there quicker than we got here?" I asked. Guys, what the hell is that?" Patrick asked, almost in shock. We turned around to see a very large white creature. It had piercing yellow eyes, stood on all 4 at about 5 foot 5 inches tall, and was built like a tank. It resembled a wolf or some other large breed dog, but it wasn't quite right. The other dogs scattered at the presence of this one. It eventually backed down the trail, never looking away. And let me tell ya, right then we booked it back to the house. We got inside and Rick's mum was looking at us oddly, wondering why the 4 of us were breathing so heavily. "Dogs, tracks, big dogs," we managed to spurt out. Rick's mother is a believer in the paranormal and didn't dismiss our story like you would expect. I'll put one more in here, and let me know if you want to know any more encounters in the area. This one happened about a year or so later, in 2012. At this point we were intrigued by the tracks and fascinated by whatever inhabited the area, worldly or otherwise. One afternoon in the summer we decided to go down and look at some of the graffiti and maybe see if anything odd would happen. There was some new art that wasn't there before, so we were looking and admiring the paintings on the wall when we realized that the place was dead quiet. No cicadas or grasshoppers, no birds chirping, no fish splashing, which was rather odd, because the carp in the river loved to jump for whatever reason. All we could hear was our heart beating. "Holy crap," Rick had whispered. "It's so quiet. It's not right, yeah?" I replied. feels like something is off in the air too, almost a pressure. It felt like we were in a pressurized jar. The air was heavy and thick. Suddenly, we heard a bird call. At first, I was relieved, but that changed in an instant. When we realized too, it was wrong. It sounded like a dove, but played back on a recorder. At first, it was a fair distance away. By the fourth call, it seemed like it was going to be within 20 feet of us. It ran out a seventh and final time, about 20 seconds from the first time, and we swore it was right above us. We looked up just in time to have the living daylight scared out of us by a loud, heavy boom on the thick wood of the bridge. It sounded like a giant had stomped or jumped on it from the metal above the bridge. We froze, our once moderately tanned skin now ghostly white as our eyes screamed when our mouths wouldn't. What the hell was that? We ran as fast as we could out of there, not giving a second thought to look back, for fearing what we might see. We made it out of the tracks and back onto the road, heading towards his house. I grabbed Rick's shoulder. "Dude, what made those noises?" I asked shakily, and out of breath. "That wasn't a natural sound, neither the call nor the boom." "Man, I don't know," he responded. "All I know is I don't want to go down there again for a while, if ever again." On that we agreed, undoubtedly. But curiosity killed the cat, right? And that, my friends, is the end of the story. If you made it this far, thank you for watching to the end. And if you like listening to true horror stories, please consider subscribing. I'll be trying to upload videos daily, and I'll post a link to the story below. If there is anything I can improve on, please leave it in the comments below. I'm happy to take any positive criticism you might have, or if you know of a good story that I should do, please post a link below. Anyway, that comes to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.